Have you ever paused to consider what it really means to age well? Not in the poetic sense of growing older with grace, but in the real, physical world, where joints creak, balance wavers, and simple daily tasks can become quiet battlegrounds. The truth is, while aging is inevitable, the quality of aging is far from uniform. Some individuals in their late 60s, 70s, and even 80s remain surprisingly agile, strong, and capable, physically and mentally, while others begin to experience a steep decline in function. Why is that? Contrary to popular belief, aging well is not simply about good genetics or luck. It is about retaining specific physical abilities that quietly predict not just how we feel today, but how independent, resilient, and healthy we will be in the years to come. These abilities, simple, functional movements we often take for granted, are not only indicators of physical vitality, but also windows into the condition of our nervous system, cardiovascular strength, and even cognitive coordination. In this comprehensive guide, we will walk through 8 key signs of exceptional aging skills and strengths that, if you still possess them between the ages of 65 and 80, place you among a rare and remarkable group. These are not abstract ideals or performance-based trophies. They are everyday capacities that contribute directly to your safety, mobility, confidence, and longevity. If you can still do these things, you are not just aging, you are thriving. And if you're starting to lose one or two of them, take heart. Most of these abilities can be nurtured and restored through consistent, gentle practice. Whether you're assessing your own condition or supporting a loved one on their journey through aging, this story is meant to empower, educate, and encourage. It's written with care, in a pace that respects the rhythm of thoughtful listening, and in a tone that honors the depth of your life experience. So let's begin, not with fear, but with fascination, because if you can still do the following things, even partially, you are living proof that aging doesn't have to mean decline. In fact, it might mean you're becoming something quite rare. Someone who is aging with strength, clarity, and resilience. And if you're new here, we welcome you with open arms. Subscribe and stay with us as we continue exploring how to live not just longer, but better. Among all the quiet abilities that define exceptional aging, grip strength stands as one of the most overlooked, yet perhaps one of the most powerful predictors of long-term health and independence. It's more than the firmness of a handshake or the ability to twist off a stubborn jar lid. Grip strength reflects a deeper story unfolding within the body, a story about muscle integrity, neurological communication, and systemic vitality. As we grow older, our muscle fibers naturally begin to decline, a process called sarcopenia. This loss is often slow, invisible at first, but eventually noticeable in our daily routines. What makes grip strength such an insightful marker is that it doesn't just measure strength in the hands. It mirrors the overall condition of your musculoskeletal system, including your arms, shoulders, upper back, and even your cardiovascular system. The ability to maintain a strong, stable grip implies that the brain is still efficiently communicating with the nerves, that the muscles are responding well to signals, and that the body continues to circulate oxygen-rich blood where it's needed most. Imagine something simple, like carrying a grocery bag or holding onto a railing when stepping down a curb. These small movements, often performed without a second thought, require your body to coordinate multiple systems at once. When grip strength begins to weaken, it's not just about difficulty opening a door. It can be one of the first signs that overall function is declining, that reflexes are slowing, and that muscles are losing their resilience. Numerous studies support this. In fact, research consistently shows that seniors with stronger grip strength tend to have lower mortality rates, faster recovery times after illness, and greater overall mobility compared to those with weaker hands. A strong grip has been associated with lower risks of cardiovascular disease, reduced risk of falls, and even better cognitive function. In practical terms, grip strength acts like an internal health barometer. Consider Frank, a 75-year-old retired electrician who still spends his mornings in the garden and his afternoons repairing tools in his shed. His handshake remains firm and his fingers are strong enough to tie twine, use pruning shears, and carry buckets of soil without strain. During a routine checkup, his doctor tested his grip strength and remarked with genuine surprise that Frank's hand strength exceeded that of some of his patients in their early 50s. For Frank, this isn't a point of pride, it's a way of life. He's still active, mobile, and confident, and part of that confidence comes from knowing that he can rely on his hands to support him, literally, when it matters most. This matters far beyond comfort. A firm grip can help stabilize you during a stumble, keep you upright when losing balance, or prevent a fall when grasping a stair rail. It's a safety mechanism built into your own body. On the other hand, a weakening grip can signal vulnerability, not just to injury, but to decreased independence. It's not uncommon for older adults with weak hands to start avoiding certain activities, lifting, climbing, or even driving, leading to reduced engagement with life. But here's the uplifting part. Grip strength is not a fixed trait. It can be nurtured and improved even later in life. Simple daily habits like squeezing a therapy ball, using light resistance bands, or gardening can maintain or increase strength. The key is consistency, not intensity. If you can still open jars without assistance, carry grocery bags without trembling hands, or feel confident when holding onto a stair railing, you are not just physically capable, you are statistically more likely to live longer, recover faster, and maintain your independence well into the future. That's no small thing. That's evidence of exceptional aging. You're doing more than just holding on. You're holding strong. There is a quiet dignity in being able to lower yourself to the floor and rise again without hesitation, strain, or the need for support. While this ability may seem simple, even mundane, it is one of the most powerful and revealing signs of healthy aging. To be able to move from the floor to standing unassisted is not just a movement. It's a complex orchestration of strength, flexibility, coordination, and balance. It reflects the integrity of your body from head to toe and how well your systems are working together to support you. As we age, one of the earliest signs of decline is not just muscle loss, but the loss of fluid, confident motion. When someone begins to fear falling, not necessarily because of the fall itself, but because of the inability to get up afterward, they often limit their own movements. Over time, this fear causes them to sit more, move less, and weaken further. But those who can still get up from the floor without using their hands or leaning on furniture are telling a difference, one of preserved strength, one of physical independence. Let's pause here and reflect on the actual movement. Think of what's required. Your knees and hips must bend deeply and remain stable. Your ankles need to support your balance. Your core must engage to keep you upright. And your legs must generate enough power to lift your full body weight. That is no small feat. It is a full body test, a silent measure of neuromuscular health that can quietly predict not only how you move, but how long you're likely to move well into the future. Take the story of Margaret, a 72-year-old retired nurse. She begins each morning with a gentle yoga routine in her living room. When her grandchildren visit, she doesn't hesitate to sit cross-legged on the floor beside them. When it's time to get up, she simply plants one foot, activates her core, and rises in a smooth, graceful motion. Her doctor, during a routine appointment, once asked her to perform the sit-to-stand test. He was stunned, not just because she passed, but because she moved without hesitation or the slightest imbalance. Margaret's ability is not just admirable, it's rare. Why is this important? Studies published in journals of geriatrics and preventive medicine have shown that the ability to rise from the floor without assistance correlates with lower fall risk, greater mobility, and longer life expectancy. In fact, individuals who struggle with this movement have nearly twice the risk of mortality over the following 6 years compared to those who do it with ease. That statistic is sobering, but it's also empowering because it reminds us that simple movements can be powerful tools for prediction, prevention, and action. And if you struggle with this skill now, it's never too late to improve. Gentle squats, core exercises like seated leg lifts, and daily stretching of the hips and hamstrings can slowly restore the strength and range of motion needed. You don't need a gym, just patience, persistence, and the belief that movement, however small, is always worth the effort. If you can still get up from the floor on your own, consider what that means. You are resilient, you are mobile, and you are in a class of older adults whose bodies still respond with strength, control, and coordination. This movement, as quiet as it may seem, is a visible signal that your body has not forgotten how to live independently. And that independence, it is perhaps one of the most valuable assets in aging well. Rising from a seated position without using your hands may sound like a minor accomplishment. It's the kind of movement most people do dozens of times a day, after meals, from a favorite armchair, or from behind the wheel of a car. But beneath this simple act lies a wealth of information about your physical condition. In fact, your ability to stand up from a chair without assistance is a strong indicator of lower body strength, joint health, core stability, and neurological function, all wrapped into one seamless motion. This particular action depends heavily on the quadriceps and gluteal muscles, two of the most important muscle groups for maintaining upright posture and locomotion. These muscles work together to lift the body while maintaining balance and control. When they weaken, we begin to see compensations, rocking the body forward to gain momentum, pushing off arm rests or bracing with the hands on the thighs. While these adaptations may feel natural, they quietly indicate that the body is losing the strength needed to move freely. The decline usually happens slowly. What begins as a slight strain when standing eventually becomes an avoidance of low chairs, then a reliance on assistance, and eventually a limitation on where one feels comfortable going. But if you still rise from a seated position smoothly, without pressing off with your hands, then you are demonstrating a key ability that supports continued independence in daily life. Consider Linda, a vibrant 72-year-old grandmother. At a recent birthday gathering for a longtime friend, she watched as many of her peers needed help standing from their seats. Some gripped the edges of chairs while others hesitated, clearly unsure if they could rise easily. Linda, by contrast, stood with ease and offered a steadying hand to others. Later that week, during a game with her 10-year-old grandson, she was challenged to get up from the floor without using her hands. With a bit of laughter and focused intention, she did exactly that. In that moment, Linda realized something vital. Her years of walking, stretching, and staying active weren't just helping her feel good, they were helping her live well. Scientific studies reinforce what Linda experienced. Research from Aging and mobility studies shows that the chair rising test is not only a measure of physical strength, it's also predictive of falls, hospitalization risk, and long-term functional decline. Those who can no longer rise from a chair unaided are more likely to experience reduced mobility, chronic pain, and loss of confidence, which often leads to more sedentary behavior and, in turn, further decline. But here's the empowering truth. Like grip strength, this is a skill that can be preserved and even regained. Regular movement is the key. Chair squats, light leg presses, wall sits, or even standing up from a chair several times in a row without rushing and without support can train the muscles and nervous system to maintain strength. Balance exercises help too. The body, even in later years, is remarkably responsive when challenged in a safe and gradual way. So, if you find yourself standing up easily after a meal, rising from the couch without grabbing onto something, or getting out of the car without hesitation, pause and recognize the importance of that ability. It's not just a movement. It's a marker of how well your body is aging, and if it has become more difficult, that too is valuable information. It tells you that now is the time to re-engage with your strength before the slope becomes slippery. Every smooth, unsupported stand is a quiet victory, a signal that your body still has the control, stability, and power to carry you forward. It is a message worth hearing and worth preserving. Of all the visible markers of aging, few are as instantly recognizable or as quietly telling as posture. When someone walks into a room upright, shoulders gently back, head lifted, and spine aligned, we instinctively perceive them as strong, capable, and confident. In contrast, a stooped, hunched posture may signal fatigue, discomfort, or frailty, even if the person feels relatively well. But posture isn't just about appearance. It is a functional indicator of your muscular and skeletal health, your core strength, and even your capacity to breathe and move freely. Maintaining upright posture without strain is, at its core, a dynamic balancing act. It depends on the strength and coordination of deep, stabilizing muscles around the spine, abdomen, and hips. It requires spinal joints that remain mobile and discs that still provide cushioning. It also reflects neurological control, the ability of the brain and nerves to manage muscle tone and adjust your body's positioning in space. When all these systems are functioning well, the result is an easy, natural alignment that supports energy efficiency, mobility, and even confidence. For many older adults, however, posture begins to deteriorate subtly. A forward tilt of the head, rounded shoulders, a slightly flexed spine. These changes may begin with years of desk work, injuries, or lack of core engagement. Over time, they can become fixed habits. Unfortunately, poor posture is more than a cosmetic concern. It can lead to chronic back and neck pain, joint wear, and reduced lung capacity. When the chest collapses forward, the lungs can't fully expand. The result? Shallow breathing, less oxygen delivery, and increased fatigue. Let's look at George, a 74-year-old retired school teacher who still walks several miles a week through his neighborhood. Despite his age, people often assume he's a decade younger, largely because of the way he carries himself. His back is straight, his steps are firm, and he holds his head high. His secret? Years of staying active, an early habit of stretching each morning, and a conscious awareness of his posture throughout the day. His doctor, during a routine physical, once told him that many men his age show signs of spinal compression. But George's spine? Remarkably well preserved. This kind of upright posture not only prevents physical strain, it plays a vital role in fall prevention. When your center of gravity shifts forward, as it does with slouching or hunched spine, balance becomes harder to control. Even small slips can turn into dangerous falls. But when your body is aligned, your weight is naturally distributed across the feet and joints, reducing strain and increasing stability. It's a subtle safeguard that makes a big difference. Posture also affects mood and mental clarity. Studies in psychology and kinesiology have shown that upright posture is associated with increased confidence, better mood regulation, and even memory recall. Slouching, on the other hand, tends to correlate with lower energy, reduced alertness, and feelings of resignation or sadness. Your body position, in essence, feeds information back to your brain about how you feel and how much energy you believe you have. Fortunately, posture is not a static trait. It can be corrected and strengthened. Gentle exercises like pelvic tilts, chest openers, wall angels, and core stability work can reinforce your alignment. Yoga, Tai Chi, and Pilates are also highly effective practices for integrating posture awareness with movement and breath. Even something as simple as checking in with yourself during the day, while brushing your teeth, walking to the mailbox, or waiting in line, can slowly retrain your muscles and nervous system to support a better frame. So if you can stand or sit upright without aching shoulders or a tired back, take a moment to appreciate what that truly means. It reflects not only your muscle tone, but the health of your spinal discs, your lung capacity, and the quiet strength of your postural reflexes. It tells the world and yourself that you are still balanced, alert, and in command of your body. And that message, it carries more weight than any number on a chart. It is the presence of vitality made visible. Balance is one of those hidden strengths we rarely think about until it begins to slip. When we're younger, we walk on uneven ground, step onto curbs, climb stairs, or pivot quickly without giving it a second thought. But as we age, subtle changes in our balance can become noticeable. A small wobble while putting on shoes, a moment of uncertainty stepping over a threshold, a hesitation on a rainy sidewalk. These early signs, though often dismissed, can quietly predict our risk for something far more serious: a fall. Falls are sadly a leading cause of injury, hospitalization, and even death among older adults. But what's even more concerning is that many of these falls are preventable, and the ability to balance on one leg for 10 seconds or more has emerged as one of the simplest, most reliable predictors of future risk. Balance is not just about strong legs. It is a reflection of how well your brain, eyes, muscles, inner ear, and joints are working together in harmony. Standing on one leg, even for a brief moment, demands coordination across your entire neuromuscular system. It requires a strong core, responsive leg muscles, flexible ankles, and a stable mind that can focus without becoming overwhelmed by environmental distraction. Let's consider a man named Frank, now 77, who spent most of his life working as a carpenter. In his younger years, he could walk on narrow beams, climb ladders without blinking, and stand on rooftops for hours. But in recent years, he began noticing some subtle shifts. Uneven sidewalks made him uneasy. He hesitated before stepping down from his porch. His doctor, during a routine wellness exam, asked him to stand on one leg while focusing on a spot on the wall. Frank managed only 5 seconds before his foot came down. It was a wake-up call. Rather than resign himself to the change, Frank took action. He began practicing balance daily. First, he stood on one foot while brushing his teeth, using the bathroom counter for safety. Then, he added short hallway walks with one foot directly in front of the other, like walking a tightrope. Gradually, he improved his balance to over 15 seconds per leg. His confidence returned along with his ease in movement. This small test, the 10-second one-leg stand, has been the subject of scientific research for years. A widely cited study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine showed that older adults who could not maintain a single-leg stance for at least 10 seconds had a substantially higher risk of death over the next 7 years compared to those who could. And yet the test is so simple, so accessible, that anyone can try it at home. You can try it now if you feel safe doing so. Stand near a counter or sturdy surface, lift one foot a few inches off the ground and count slowly. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, all the way to 10. If you can do it without touching down, swaying wildly, or needing support, that's a sign your internal systems are still working together with clarity and strength. And if you struggle, that's not a failure. It's a signal, a message that you have an opportunity to strengthen one of your most important defenses against injury. Improving balance doesn't require expensive equipment or exhausting routines. Simple practices like heel-to-toe walking, gentle leg raises, and Tai Chi movements are remarkably effective. Even just standing on one leg while holding onto the kitchen counter can activate the muscles and train the nerves to stabilize your frame. So if you can still hold your balance with confidence, you're part of a group that is aging exceptionally well. You are maintaining the essential ability to move safely through the world. And perhaps more importantly, you are sustaining the freedom to go where you want, when you want, without fear. That's not just a sign of health. That's a symbol of autonomy, and one worth protecting with everything you've got. Carrying groceries may not sound like a test of exceptional aging, but in truth, it's one of the most practical and revealing demonstrations of sustained physical capability. It is a functional movement that many people perform weekly, if not daily, and yet it relies on the seamless cooperation of multiple major systems in the body. If you are between the ages of 65 and 80 and you can still lift a loaded bag of groceries from the car to the house, or climb stairs with your hands full without gasping for breath or fearing you might drop something, you are showcasing a kind of strength that most take for granted until it's gone. The act of carrying weight is a full-body effort. Your hands and forearms must grip the handles without trembling or pain. Your shoulders and upper back must engage to stabilize the load. Your core supports the spine, preventing collapse. Your legs move in rhythm, absorbing the weight of every step. Your cardiovascular system works quietly in the background, circulating oxygen to your muscles. And behind it all, your nervous system orchestrates the coordination and balance needed to walk with confidence. What seems like a simple chore is, in fact, a comprehensive health check. Let's revisit the story of Walter, a 74-year-old retired school teacher from Ohio. During a routine trip to the grocery store, he loaded up his cart with canned goods, a gallon of milk, a sack of potatoes, and his favorite fresh fruit. As he exited the store and began loading his car, he noticed something curious. Several younger men, some in their 30s and 40s, were struggling with similar loads. One man, red-faced and breathing heavily, even approached Walter and offered to help him lift his bags, assuming the older man was in need. Walter smiled kindly and replied, "I've been hauling groceries longer than you've been alive, son. I think I've got this." That interaction stuck with him, not because he was proud, but because he realized that his regular routine of walking, gardening, and lightweight training in the garage had preserved something incredibly valuable: functional strength, the kind that allows him to live without assistance, the kind that keeps him engaged, independent, and mobile. Science agrees. Studies published in gerontology and rehabilitation journals show that older adults who maintain the ability to carry weight, especially through daily tasks like groceries, laundry, or gardening, have lower risk of disability, slower rates of decline, and better cardiovascular outcomes. Grip strength alone, one of the most important components of carrying weight, has been directly linked to increased lifespan and reduced risk of chronic disease. Yet, when this ability fades, life can change quickly. What used to be a 5-minute errand becomes a burden. People begin to avoid shopping, rely on others, or reduce how much they carry, limiting not only their strength but their confidence. This decline, unless interrupted, often leads to further loss of mobility, muscle tone, and a shrinking world. But here's the good news. Functional strength can be preserved and restored. If grocery bags have started to feel heavier than they used to, or your hands tremble under the weight, you can take small, meaningful steps. Start with manageable exercises, like carrying light bags during your daily walk, using resistance bands to build shoulder and grip strength, or holding small weights while standing and walking. Even squeezing a stress ball a few times a day can make a surprising difference in hand endurance. If you are someone who still lifts bags with ease without needing to pause, lean on something, or worry that you might lose your balance, you are physically thriving in a way that is both rare and significant. It is not about brute strength. It's about sustained capability. It means your muscles are still responsive, your heart and lungs are still cooperating, your body is still willing and able. And most importantly, it means you can still meet the world head-on with arms full and spirit unburdened. Few actions reveal more about the aging body than the ability to get down onto the floor and then rise again, without the help of arms, furniture, or another person. While this may seem similar to earlier sections on floor recovery, this particular skill deserves its own spotlight. That's because rising unassisted from the floor, without using your hands or knees for leverage, demands not just strength, but an advanced degree of neuromuscular coordination, balance, flexibility, and core control. It is, in every sense, a total body performance. For most older adults, the idea of getting down onto the ground can feel risky. What if they can't get back up? That fear, though understandable, is also revealing. It speaks to a loss of trust in one's own body. But when someone in their 70s or 80s can lower themselves to the ground and rise again with minimal effort, it suggests that the entire chain of physical systems, muscular, skeletal, cardiovascular, and neurological, is still in working harmony. Let's take Emma as an example. At 80 years old, she spends afternoons with her grandchildren, often playing games on the living room rug. During one such visit, her youngest grandchild dropped a toy and called out for help. Emma, without a moment's hesitation, knelt down, picked it up, and rose to her feet with quiet ease. Her daughter, watching nearby, was speechless. "Mom," she said, "I know people 30 years younger who couldn't do that." Emma just smiled and shrugged. For her, it was simply part of staying active, gardening, yoga, and staying involved in daily life. What Emma may not have realized is that her movement reflected something far deeper than physical routine. The ability to move from floor to standing unassisted has been studied extensively in aging populations. A landmark study published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology found that adults who could perform a version of this movement without using hands or knees were significantly more likely to live longer and lived independently. Those who struggled had markedly higher rates of falls, injury, and even premature death over the following years. The reason is straightforward. This motion relies on strong hip and knee extension, core engagement, ankle mobility, and refined balance. It is a microcosm of overall physical integrity. When even one of these systems starts to fail, the movement breaks down, and so does confidence in daily living. That's why this ability is so important. It's not just about the floor, it's about what the floor represents: unpredictability, spontaneity, and the body's ability to respond. If you can still do this, you are functioning in a way that most people your age cannot. You are able to respond to life's small surprises: a dropped item, a playful pet, a grandchild's tug, without fear of getting stuck, strained, or hurt. You are capable of navigating the unexpected, and that is no small thing. If this skill feels out of reach for you right now, know that it's something you can work toward. Begin by strengthening your legs with bodyweight squats or seated leg lifts. Practice kneeling on a soft surface using a chair for support. Then gradually reduce your dependence on your hands. Train your core with gentle abdominal exercises and maintain joint flexibility with slow, mindful stretches. Improvement is not measured in speed, it's measured in consistency and confidence. Each day you practice, even in small doses, you are building the body's memory and restoring your ability to rise, not just from the floor, but from every challenge life may place before you. If you are someone who still performs this movement with grace and ease, take a moment to honor that. You are among a rare group, one that embodies not only strength, but also fluid coordination and full spectrum wellness. You're not just getting up off the floor. You're standing up to the years. As we age, much attention is paid to the strength of the body, but an equally vital and often underestimated component of healthy aging lies in how the mind and body communicate. This delicate relationship, known in scientific terms as cognitive motor integration, plays a central role in every movement we make, whether it's stepping over a curb, reacting to a sudden noise, or adjusting balance mid-walk. These moments require not just muscle strength, but mental agility. And for old adults, retaining this synchrony is a profound sign of exceptional aging. It's important to understand that the brain doesn't just think, it also constantly sends signals to the muscles, processes feedback from the environment, and recalibrates posture, speed, and force in real time. This complex process allows you to react quickly, avoid tripping, shift your weight when turning, or recover from a stumble. When this communication channel between the brain and body remains sharp, your movements feel fluid, responsive, and safe. The loss of this connection is subtle at first. You may start to notice a slight delay in response, stepping off a curb more cautiously, hesitating before reaching for something, or needing to pause before changing directions. These are early signs that the neurological pathways responsible for movement and coordination are beginning to slow. While this is a normal part of aging, the degree to which it affects your function can vary dramatically based on lifestyle habits and mental engagement. Take Helen, a 76-year-old former librarian who remains an avid reader and crossword enthusiast. But beyond her intellectual hobbies, she also walks regularly, practices light choreography in a local dance class, and occasionally plays table tennis with her neighbor. Her doctor once observed that her reflexes and spatial awareness were unusually sharp for her age. Why? Because Helen is continuously stimulating both her mind and movement patterns at the same time. Research confirms that maintaining dual task skills, doing something physical while simultaneously solving a simple problem or adjusting to new information, can help delay the onset of cognitive decline and reduce the risk of falls. In one widely cited study, older adults were asked to walk while answering questions or navigating obstacles. Those who maintained both speed and accuracy showed lower risks for dementia and improved physical resilience. This underscores the idea that mental sharpness supports physical independence. So how can you tell if your cognitive motor coordination is still intact? Ask yourself, can I walk and hold a conversation at the same time without slowing down or losing my train of thought? Am I able to quickly shift my attention when something unexpected happens, like a dropped object or a sudden noise? When I move through familiar spaces, do I do so automatically and confidently, or do I feel the need to overthink each step? If you answered yes to those first two questions, your cognitive and motor systems are still well synchronized, and that's an achievement worth celebrating. And if you feel some of these abilities slipping, the solution is not simply to move more, but to move with intention. Activities like Tai Chi, dance, interactive games, or even navigating unfamiliar walking routes can stimulate both your brain and body simultaneously. Challenging your balance while mentally engaged sharpens those communication pathways and keeps your system responsive. If you still respond quickly to your environment, move with mental presence, and adjust your actions without panic or confusion, you're demonstrating more than just strength. You're showing resilience at a neurological level. This form of sharpness, though invisible to others, is one of the most meaningful indicators that your aging process is unfolding with balance, harmony, and grace. Your body may carry the years, but it's your mind-body connection that helps you dance with them. Now that we've explored the 8 key signs of exceptional aging, take a quiet moment to reflect. How many of these abilities do you still possess? Can you rise from a chair without your hands? Can you carry groceries without hesitation? Do you walk tall, stand steady, and move confidently through your day? If so, you are part of a truly rare group of individuals. People who are not simply surviving into their older years, but thriving. You are a living example that aging does not have to mean surrendering strength, clarity, or freedom. It means something far more powerful, that your body and mind have remained engaged, adaptable, and resilient in the face of time. These 8 signs are not abstract ideals or distant health goals. They are the small, daily victories that protect independence, restore confidence, and add life to your years, not just years to your life. If you've recognized yourself in these pages, then celebrate. You are not typical. You are exceptional. And if you find that some of these movements have become harder, know this: it is never too late to begin again. The human body is astonishing in its ability to adapt, strengthen, and relearn. What you nurture, you preserve. What you challenge, you improve. Whether it's your balance, strength, posture, or coordination, gentle and consistent practice can restore much of what time has taken. Your journey through aging is uniquely yours, but it is also a beacon for others. When you move with steadiness, when you choose activity over avoidance, when you stay mentally alert and physically capable, you inspire the people around you. You model what is possible. You remind others that aging is not a decline, it is a continuum of capacity shaped by daily choices, small disciplines, and quiet perseverance. Let this be your encouragement. Keep moving, keep reaching, keep standing tall. Whether you are 65, 75, or beyond, your strength is still meaningful. Your agility is still valuable, and your presence, alive, engaged, and capable, is still deeply needed in this world. If you found this story helpful or inspiring, we invite you to join our growing community. Subscribe now and stay connected with others who are on the same path, learning, improving, and embracing the art of aging well. Together, we're proving that life after 65 is not the end of the journey, but the beginning of something powerful, dignified, and beautiful. You are not just getting older. You are becoming a rare jewel, and the world is brighter because of it.